What is up? Welcome to Etsy Jam. Are you spending too much time worrying about things that you can't control, falling into the trap of blaming Etsy? This week we talk with Kara from A Cake to Remember about the things you can control. Kara covers a great list of ways to make sure that your listings stay active on Etsy. She also talks about some of the common problems she's seen in the Etsy forums when sellers are complaining about having low sales and what they could do to get rid of their big butts.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right. I'll kick us off then. What is up? Welcome to Etsy Jam, the podcast where we have a smorgasbord of conversations about serious topics. I am Gordon from Marmalade.
I am Richie from Marmalade. And if you have not yet heard about Marmalade, Marmalade is the best Etsy SEO and market research tool for serious sellers. And actually, we've got a great episode here for you if you are a serious seller, because Kara here is very serious as well. So you should definitely go check out Marmalade if you're a serious seller and you like Kara here. And you can find Marmalade at marmalead.com.
There you go. And yeah, as Richie mentioned, we have a very special guest with us this week. We have Kara from A Cake to Remember. Thanks for joining us, Kara.
Sure. Thanks for having me back. That's brave of you.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great convo with you last time, so welcome back.
Well, thank you very much. You always do a really good job of spelling Marmalade, because that's the kind of thing that I think, I'm going to start this and then really screw it up. And then I screw it up, but you always spell it right, so that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't think I could pull that one off.
I wouldn't be able to. You start overthinking it, like, okay.
Be like, M-A-R-M, Google will maybe autocomplete it for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd actually be kind of funny to
do. But to kick things off, you have a very special announcement to share with us today.
Yes, I am starting, and this is going to be very much related to what I'm talking about today. So if you're watching and you're thinking, why is my Etsy shop just sitting there dead? And why am I making no sales? It's probably something that you're doing, okay? It's not Etsy's fault. And I'm starting a private YouTube channel that is subscription. You have to pay for it once, and that's it. So you'll have access to it forever. And if you're a Marmalade user, it's going to be $25, and you'll have access to it forever. And if you're not a Marmalade user, it'll be $50, because I don't want to have to explain SEO research to people. So I want to make sure that people are in there are serious about it and are going to be willing to do the work. Because I was telling you guys, that drives me crazy when people aren't willing to do the work and they want you to do everything for them. And I am not in that business unless you pay me to do a shop review, which is something different. So if you're interested in this after listening to this, then it's going to be kind of the same topics, but more in depth. And since Etsy changes and social media changes, and I mean, everything is like in 3 months, the stuff that I'm saying today could be different. Who knows? It's fast. So this way I'll be able to do a quick video if something changes that is really important, and just put it on the channel and people will be able to see it. And I already have a YouTube channel that has some Etsy tutorials, so you can go and check that out. It's youtube.com/Kara Buntin. It's Karabuntin. And I spelled that right. And but there is a playlist on there that's just Etsy stuff. And I also have a Pinterest board for Etsy stuff. And I think I have some of your stuff on there too. So you can go check that out first. But listen to this Etsy Jam today, because a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is the type of things that I'm going to be looking at in that group. So, and to join that, I think you can go and I'll figure it out. I haven't set it up yet, but I'll put like a little welcome video that everybody can see. And after that, only the people who pay to get in can see it. So there you go. And at the end, we were going to say at the end of this, the first 5 people who comment on this video on YouTube who are Marmalade users will get free admission to the group. So make sure you comment on the video. And if you're listening now, you can comment now. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. So beat everybody out. Get on there.
Go.
Comment and get in for free. There you go. Go do your comment now. So, all right. So that was my announcement. And
that's awesome.
Let's get to business. I was telling them my kids are both in college now, so I have no one to lecture. So I'm ready. It's been building up.
Nice. But and you sent over your notes to us, which are awesome, and I'm super excited to talk through these. But maybe before we get into these, give like a quick background on yourself. I know we did another jam with you, and
Yeah.
people can always go listen to that one too, which I would suggest that they do. But maybe like a quick blurb about you and your shop, A Cake to Remember, and your involvement with Etsy.
Okay. I started on Etsy in 2011 when the recession had hit. I used to have a wedding cake business, so I did custom wedding cakes. And I started on Etsy because at that time it was relatively new and it was very wedding heavy. So I knew about it because all the brides went on Etsy to shop for their stuff, and the wedding cake business and all, weddings in general, people were cutting back on their spending. So I started thinking, well, they only want to spend $600 now for what would have been an $800 cake 2 years ago. So how can I make up that income? Oh, maybe I can sell some of these flowers, like sugar flowers and decorations online to brides who are not in my area. And the DIY thing was coming in, so people were decorating their own cakes. So I started with that, but then I realized that a lot of cake decorators were buying from me. It wasn't just brides. So I started putting in different cake supplies, and I started making my own molds. And so now I have kind of I call it like a handmade supply shop, because I make a lot of this stuff. I make everything pretty much, except a few things that I buy that are supplies that I use, like cutters and stuff. But it's a full-time job for me. I stopped doing wedding cakes last year. So this is the first year that I've been doing Etsy full-time. And I have my own website also. So that's part of it too. But at the end of July of this year, I had matched the profits that I made last year for the whole year. So I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is knowing what to complain about on Etsy and what not to complain about, and where to get traffic and how to get traffic and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, so that's basically what I was going to talk about today.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. And I'll start with my color-coded list of. I went through into the Etsy forums, which is just a weepy whiner fest. You don't even want to go in there.
She did it, so you don't have to.
Oh my God! Put your tinfoil hat on before you go into the Etsy forums, basically. But it's good to go in there and just look at the topics that people are posting about, because you can learn things. Mm-hmm. But it's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of complaining. And the people who are really successful on Etsy are not in the forums talking about how successful they're being, because everybody's posting about how horrible their sales are. And no one wants to go on a thread like that and say, well, I'm doing great. I'm making all these sales, blah, blah, because you just don't.
Yeah. The forum isn't a really good snapshot of Etsy, I would say.
Right. Yeah. So I just went in and typed in slow sales in the search box, and 6,857 pages of posts about slow sales came up. And that went all the way back to the beginning of the forums. And I wrote down a couple of the things, like, a whole bunch of things that came up over and over. So there were 4 things that basically you could control that people complained about. And one says, I don't have enough new items to add, and you have to add new items to make sales. And these are for reasons why I'm not getting sales. Okay. Then someone says you have too many listings. Someone says you don't have enough listings and your SEO needs work. So those are the 4 things that I found people said, this is why I don't have sales on Etsy, or why am I not getting sales? And those are the answers people gave them. Then the next category is it's Etsy's fault. Like the reasons that people gave that I'm not getting sales because it's Etsy's fault.
Yeah.
The people running Etsy are not business people. They're computer programmers. That doesn't have anything to do with why you're not selling anything.
Stinking programmers.
I know, damn them. Doing their programming. Etsy doesn't run enough ads, because if Etsy ran ads, then I would sell stuff. No. It's the search test. That I can give that maybe. But that's not going to completely stop your sales if you have a good balance of traffic, which we'll get into later. The new format of listings doesn't show the description. I think that's recent because of the truncated descriptions. And I will say that someone in the forums did an experiment and said that if you leave your listings to 1,100 characters or less, they don't chop it off. So just keep that in mind, test it out. So the shorter descriptions don't get chopped off where you have to click more. So that's what somebody says. A few people tested and said it worked. So I don't know. I haven't tested it because I don't care. I don't care if people have to click more or not. More of it's Etsy's fault. In 2015, it's the category search changes are responsible. And my personal favorite is that someone heard a rumor that they're not using the SEO system as much. And that's why they're not. I'm like, what the heck does that even mean?
Yeah, what are they switching to?
Yeah. Another personal favorite. They're turning my shop off. Etsy does not turn your shop off. Oh my God.
No, I've seen it. They have a wall full of light switches. I've seen this, and they'll flip them. Yeah.
And they get up in the morning and say, "How will I screw Kara over today?" Turn her shop off. That's it. Yeah. No, they don't turn your shop off, people. Come on.
Well, they can't let you do too well, right? Because then you might tell other people that you're doing so well on Etsy, and then they'll want to sell on Etsy, and then they'll have too many customers.
It'll be a mess.
And then Etsy will make money.
Yeah.
That would not be good. Etsy wants to make money. They want people to be successful, so they're not turning your shop off. Oh my God. Another good one. Etsy doesn't work with SEO. And I've heard a lot of people say this. I think what they mean by that is they're thinking like Google SEO.
Yeah.
But they don't know that SEO stands for search engine optimization and that Etsy is a search engine.
Yeah.
So you have to look at Etsy's search as its own little world, and Google is something different. So it does work with SEO, but it's a different kind. It's not Google. Okay, then more thing. These weren't Etsy's fault, but these are things that you can't control. Too many new shops. All of the long-term sellers are struggling. Hurricanes, fires, and earthquakes. That was a good one. It's back to school time. It's Sunday. April is always slow. It's the first day of the month. It's after Christmas. It's summer. It's Halloween. The political upheaval of August 2017. What? I don't understand what that even means. When the election is over, it will improve. Oh, in 2015, the interest in Game of Thrones is over. No one cares about it anymore. Did you see that dragon attack scene? Oh, yeah.
I haven't, but I heard about it.
Oh my God. My husband and I were going, yes, finally.
It sounded epic.
You should go watch it. It's great. If you've never watched the show, you'll enjoy the dragon attack scene.
Awesome.
Okay. And then the best one, in 2008, someone said, the reason I'm getting slow sales is the election and the economy. And this is a quote, we must trust that the economy will get better, the election will prove worthwhile, and that the sun will shine tomorrow and it will be a wonderful day. Worst advice ever, okay? So basically, sit back and wait and everything will work out. Oh my God. So basically, most of the things that people were complaining about are things that they had absolutely no control over, and it didn't require them to do any work. So one funny thing is somebody got on there and said, here's some things that you could do, and they were really good suggestions, and they were viciously attacked for being too new to Etsy and not on here long enough to be qualified to give out instructions.
Oh, don't you love it?
Yeah, so come on, if Etsy's slow, it might be a strange season for your products. If you sell hats, like knit hats and winter stuff, and it's June, you're not going to make as many sales. That's just it. And people are always say, oh, well, it's winter in Australia, but it costs a lot to ship to Australia from the United States. In international, people are going to buy from somebody in Australia if that's the case. So there are things you can do to improve your sales. It takes work. It's like a snowball effect on Etsy. It doesn't just happen. You don't set up SEO and walk away. And you have to have good SEO. You have to have good titles and tags. That's the first step. But then beyond that, there are other things that you can do that will help keep your shop in motion. And Etsy likes motion. Etsy likes to see that you're on there. They like to see that you're active. If you just set it up and walk away and leave, your listings are going to drop off just naturally because they move around as people buy things. I find that when I go on there and start editing things, I'll make a sale. And it's probably complete coincidence, but I think that with Etsy sees that I'm an active shopkeeper, I'm an active seller, that they prefer that to someone who is just like never there.
Yeah.
And if you get lucky, you can set up good SEO. And some people just get lucky and their titles and tags are selling their items. But for most people, you need to have other sources of traffic. So, that's one of the things that you really need to look at. And you can go into your Etsy stats and see where your traffic is coming from. And if you're getting 90% of your traffic from Etsy, you're doing something wrong because you want to have it more balanced than that. Because if you're relying on Etsy's titles and tags for every single piece of your traffic, when they do change search or they're doing tests, that's going to tank your shop. You need to have something else bringing traffic in to balance that out. You can't, it's putting all your eggs in one basket. You need to rely on different sources of traffic to keep everything in balance, basically. Okay, so I have a list of things you can do just real quick if you're not making sales, is first of all, check your denial levels, okay? Because if everything I say to you, maybe you can try this. Well, that doesn't work for me because, well, I tried that, but, I know that's not going to work. If you're just in denial about how much work you need to put into it, you're never going to build up a good shop. And it is like a snowball when Etsy gets going, because we were talking about the things that go into search. Your titles and tags and your SEO are part of it, but your sales are part of it. Your renewing is part of it. The recency, your about page, they say if you use their canned policies, if you use their template, then you get a little boost in search. So there are other things that go into it. And if you ignore those things, that's going to affect your search results too. Your placement is not going to be as good. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of times people will say, I have my SEO is perfect. All my keywords are great. And this other guy has one keyword in their title and it's box. And they've sold 10 million of these. How is that possible? And it's because they've sold 10 million of them, and they could be just dropping links to that box or whatever it is everywhere online. And people are not even using SEO to find it. They're just going through direct links. Mm-hmm. And if they're selling it, then Etsy's going to say, hey, his SEO stinks, but he's selling it, and that's part of their algorithm. So it's going to keep pushing that listing up to the top, and people will keep buying it because they're not even coming to Etsy to search. So that's just one example of other things that you can think about, when you're trying to figure out why someone's SEO isn't as good, but they're selling more. Mm-hmm. So check your denial levels, and if you're willing to do the work and really look at it and willing to change things, then you'll be more successful than someone who isn't. Okay.
So what's a good range of denial level that we should strive to be in?
0. Although that's pretty impossible. I would say a range of traffic that you want. Your denial level should be low. You should be willing to look at reality. And if you go to your Etsy stats and it shows your little traffic circle, and you want to have maybe 2 or 3 different kind of equal pieces of that. So if you have all Etsy, and that's actually something I had some people do a little experiment for me, and then I had them send me their traffic reports. And I was really, really surprised that about, most of them had the majority, like up to 75% of their traffic coming just Etsy. And I was like, wow, really? Because you really need to build up other avenues to bring traffic in. And mine is, I think Etsy is about 40%. And then I have direct links and outside search are pretty much like 30%, but it's a pretty even split. Social media, for my social media, I direct all of my social media to my website. So my goal on Etsy is to have 0% coming in from social media. But if you're using social media, you want that to be a pretty big piece of driving traffic to your Etsy shop. And if that's not showing up on your little traffic circle in your stats, then that can tell you need to work on that. If you're not getting much traffic from direct search, maybe you need to go into your descriptions, which is what Google looks at, work on your descriptions and get those, happier in Google. If Google likes your descriptions more, they'll find you easier. And that's difficult though, because Etsy has they're kind of like the gatekeeper for Google.
Mm-hmm.
And when you search for something in Google, it's going to bring up Etsy, but it's going to take you to the Etsy market page that they've set up.
Yeah.
So a lot of times that's not as easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely want like direct links where you send out a newsletter or something like that, where people have bookmarked your page, and social media to rank on there somewhere. You don't want all of your traffic to be coming from Etsy, because then when everybody's been complaining the last month about these tests, and yeah, it's crazy. They go crazy and start testing like nuts in the fall, and then they'll stop about mid-November and slow it down for the Christmas season. But in those 2 months, if all of your traffic is coming from Etsy and they're doing all kinds of bizarro tests, then you could lose all your traffic. You don't know. So you need to build up other parts. And I will say I had one listing. I was selling tons of this thing because it's really super trendy. And then I realized that as soon as they started some of these tests, the sales just stopped, which is fine because I was sick of making it. At that point, I was like, thank God, I don't have to make this stupid thing for a while. But that will happen. And if all of your traffic is coming from Etsy, you're really going to be at a disadvantage if they start changing things like that. So, so check your levels of denial about how your shop is doing that way. But you can actually go and look at this stuff, look at your stats and see what it says. Then you can do the hard, like cold look at your own shop, and you can have someone else do this for you if you can't stand it. First of all, do people want what you're selling? Maybe something you're selling that was really trendy 5 years ago isn't trendy now. What were you guys talking about? The mason jar tea lights or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Yes, wall sconces, mason jar wall sconces, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, mason jars. Mason jars about 5 years ago were it was a joke in the wedding industry because everybody was just crazy about the mason jars. And it's kind of subsided now, but I think that they use them so much, it's kind of just become a normal staple of things, So they're still there, but they're not as popular as they used to be. So if you were making $1 million with mason jars 5 years ago and you're not anymore, it's because they're not as trendy. They're still being used, but people aren't as crazy about them. And you really need to be realistic about that. So second, look at your pricing. If your prices are so much higher or so much lower than everyone else in your category, then you're going to have problems because people are going to either look and say, oh, why is that so cheap? I'm not buying that. Or the same with the expensive stuff, And, people are like, well, my product is a niche product that only a few people want. Well, that's great, but only a few people want it, and it's going to be harder to find those people, Everybody wants the customers that have $1 million to spend. I would love that. But there are a lot fewer of them than the people like myself who are on budgets when we go shopping, So you need to have a range of prices and kind of, lower price points, mid price points, higher ones, and just give people an assortment. Because if they come to your shop and everything is like $500 for a pair of earrings, they're not going to buy it if they don't have that. But they might buy something for $50, And if you're thinking about whether you should sell on Etsy, go in and look and do a couple searches and see what the average prices are. Because there's some things when I'm testing it out, I go into Marmalade and look to see what the average price is. And there have been things that I thought, oh, maybe I could make some of those. Oh, hell no, I'm not making it for that. That's $3 an hour, And I've actually taken products out of my shop that I decided people are starting to undercut people, like there's too much competition for this and the prices are dropping.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in working for $3 an hour, honestly. So I've just taken those products out. If those other people want to work themselves to death for that amount, feel free. I'm not playing that game. So, I'll find something else. Okay. Next, how are your shipping time and return policy scaring people away? And I'm working with a shop now that's in Indonesia, and they're just kind of victim of the Indonesian postal system.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it takes a long time to ship anything anywhere. So that's a problem, and it's not something that they have any control over.
Yeah.
So, she could either make more ready to ship stuff that she can get in the mail right away, or, you just have to kind of look at that. But that could be something that scares your customers away. It's hard to tell. Something that you do have control over are all of your photos filled out. And I'm not talking about the 10 listing photos. I mean, like your profile picture, when someone clicks on your shop and there's a little empty shop logo, that makes you look chintzy. Just put something there. And I think somewhere on here I have something like, if you have a scary profile picture, change it. And I mean, I hate having my picture taken. I could get online like this and talk all day. I don't know why. It's a different thing. But when I have someone with a camera, I'm like, don't. And it feels really unnatural to sit and pose, for a picture. And if you look at my profile picture in my shop, I just imagine my husband taking the picture and me going, take the goddamn picture, take it. I'm going to kill you if you don't, just take it. And he's over there going, which button do I press? So just fake it for 5 minutes, have someone take a bunch of pictures. One of them should work, but you need to look friendly. You don't need to be super hot. You don't need to be, great looking, but you just need to look friendly.
Yeah.
And if you look scary in your profile picture, people are just going to be repelled, and they're not going to, it won't be good. Yeah. Oh, and then the profile itself, when people go to your about page, I've seen some about pages that I am very sick. I started selling on Etsy because I can't get out of bed. And nobody wants to hear that. And it could be true. That could be your backstory, but you don't need to share that with people. It's just, it puts people off. If you donate to a charity because you have some, personal connection with an illness or some cause, feel free to put that, but don't tell us why, it just keep the sad stories to yourself. And, it's a public persona. It's not, this is your brand. It's not you. And the about page should be about what you can do for the customer, not about your sad story. I could think of some sad stories, but I'm not going to post them online and try to get people to buy from me. So, there's a whole, industry out there around your about pages. You could have someone write an about page for you. You can do it. Just, I love making cake decorations. I love helping people decorate cakes. I have stuff like that in mine. And that makes people feel like they can ask me questions, which they can. I have people send me questions all the time. If I was writing, oh, I got so sick of those stupid wedding cakes, I hate dealing with them, I'm not going to sell them anymore, I don't think that would be quite as attractive to people, So just think about how it's reading to someone else and read it out loud. And if it depresses you when you read it out loud, then you might want to change it. Are your photos up to par with the other items in your category? So if you do a search and every photo on that page looks great except for yours, you need to change it, because when people are shopping, they're skimming, they're looking at the pictures. The SEO will get, I think you guys have said this before, and it's true, the SEO gets your listing found on the search page, and the picture lures people in to click on your listing.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, the pictures are really important. And I did a thing on YouTube where my daughter, I gave her the computer and said, go shop and record what you're doing and tell me what you're thinking as you're doing it. And she was scrolling up and down so fast. She wasn't reading a thing. She wasn't reading a title. If she didn't see what she wanted in the picture, she would go up and refine the search. She hopped around from item to item. And at the end, I said to her, do you realize that you didn't read one thing? You were just looking at the pictures? And she said, I don't have time to read when I'm shopping. She's like, I do not have time to read. And I said, okay, But that's how people shop. They just scroll through the pictures.
Do you remember how many pages deep she would go in the search results? Does she pretty much stay on the first page?
I posted this on YouTube. You can watch it. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it really is, because I read, and then I had my husband do one. He doesn't even know how to use a computer, for God's sake. I don't think he ever shops online, but he was a lot slower than she was, and she's a very experienced online shopper. She went through she probably went through at least 5 or 6 different things before she decided on something to put in her cart.
Mm-hmm.
And then she got to the cart and chose one of those you might also like.
Yeah.
And that's what she decided to buy.
There you go.
Oh my God. That was so amazing. I was like, but that happens on Amazon. It happens on eBay. It happens everywhere now.
Yep.
And there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So you want your pictures to look good, because your picture might be the one in the you might also like section also.
There you go. Yeah.
Very true.
And if that's something that looks better than what they have in their cart, they're going to go to your picture.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure your pictures are good.
Shopping by photos makes sense too, because if you go to a physical store, it's not like you're just walking down the shelf, like reading the tags, and then once it says what you're looking for, you look up and you're like, oh, there it is on the box.
Exactly.
You're walking down and you're scanning, and you're seeing like, oh, this looks like that box might have what I want, and then you dig deeper. Then you might actually read what it is.
Some people would. No, my daughter apparently not. No, but you're right. You're right, because when people are shopping, and think about going into the grocery store, you're scanning, and then if you see something, you pick it up and look at it, and that's the equivalent of clicking on the listing.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you're clicking the listing, you're looking at it. You might read the description. If I'm reading the nutritional information, or I'm looking at something in Target, I say, oh, that's cute, I pick it up. When you pick it up, then the description takes over. So people are too worried about their descriptions and the titles and tags when they ignore their pictures. It's all part of the same loop. You have to lure people in with the pictures too.
Mm-hmm.
And they really don't read. And people know that with some of the questions that you probably get from customers, people just don't read. So make sure your pictures are good, and that's a big part of it. And I've seen a lot of people on Etsy complaining that they're not making any sales, and I go to their shop and I'm like, oh my God, because their pictures are horrible. I'm like, well, I know why you're not making sales, but I'm not going to get into that, because then they all start with the but I don't have time to redo them, but
But pictures aren't my thing.
But I don't know how to do that. Did you guys see Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
Yeah.
Of course you did, right?
Pee-wee's on Netflix now.
He is like the
Pee-wee's Playhouse, the TV
series.
show. Yeah.
I have the whole series on DVD,
No
so I don't
way.
think. Yeah.
It's funny. I went back and watched one of them, and it blew my mind how totally random it was. It was just like bam, 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 one after. And I'm like, wow, no wonder I'm like having issues focusing on things.
I love Pee-wee Herman. I love Pee-wee Herman so much. I still follow him on Facebook, and he posts some weird stuff. But but there was a line in that movie where, you remember, Simone wanted to move to Paris, France.
Yes.
That was her, and he's talking to Simone. And Simone's like, he's like, you could move to Paris if you wanted to. And she's like, I know, but. And he's like, Simone, everyone I know has a big butt. Let's talk about your big butt, Simone. So let's all talk about your big butt. Everybody's got a big butt. And I think that to myself all the time. So identify your big butt and then get rid of it, because that's probably the one thing that's holding you back with your Etsy shop is your big butt.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so get the pictures out of the way. That's important. Let's see. Are you using good SEO in all of the places you can? So anyway, okay, are you using good SEO? Like people will have the like it says the name of your shop, and right underneath it is a little tagline. That's the meta title in Google search. So when someone's searching for something and it comes up, that's what's going to come up. So go and do a search for your shop in Google and see what comes up, and you'll see where that is.
Mm-hmm.
And Google is reading that, so that can help bring you outside traffic to your shop. So you need to put the right words, and not things like, cute and lovely for everyone, because people are not going to click through to that because they don't even know what that is. You need to put what you're selling. The section titles, I believe that Google reads that. I don't think Etsy does, but Google reads that.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to pay attention to what you're doing on your page, because that makes a difference. And it's not just the keywords. Anytime you're doing anything that we talk about, SEO doesn't work on Etsy. Anytime you're doing anything to make your shop more visible to any search engine, you're doing SEO. And if you write a crappy title in Etsy, you're still using SEO. It's crappy SEO, but you're still doing SEO. Okay, seasonal items, promote on more than one place than just on Etsy. Most people would benefit from a marketing makeover, and that's absolutely true. Are you interacting on Etsy? And this is kind of a topic of contention because people are like, those team games don't work, and going on there and post one favorite 10, they don't work. They don't, and they do. It's a very, I would say it's a very circular. It's like Etsy's version of social media is the teams and the forums and the favorites and followers. That's Etsy's social media, and you have to use it, but not to the extent that it's going to throw off all your stats and that kind of thing. And this is what I had the people who were in the Marmalade group do. I posted a thing about favoriting and following. And the way, this is very convoluted. So let's say Richie has a shop, and am I pointing at you now on screen, or is it backwards? I don't know how this is going to show up. Anyway, say Richie has a shop. Gordon favorites Richie's shop. I follow Gordon. Okay, favoriting and following on Etsy are not the same thing. When you favorite someone's shop, you see all of the things that he posts in the shop that are new. When he sells something and it renews, Gordon sees that, and this is all on the homepage. And you have to assume that you're actually paying attention to the homepage. But Etsy shows people that, and it shows up in like new from shops you like, new from people you follow. That there's different sections that it shows up in. So if Richie posts a new item, and Gordon has favorited his shop, and Gordon likes that item, and I have followed Gordon, I will see that item. So it's a long. It all flows downstream. It's kind of complicated because if you follow someone, you don't see the things in their shop. You see the things that they like from other people's shops. Okay. If you favorite someone's shop, you'll see the things in their shop. And then your followers will see the things that you favorite. So there's a whole way to, there's a whole philosophy of following and favoriting. And I had people do this that haven't been doing it before, because I've always kind of done it kind of haphazardly. I don't sit down and do it 15 minutes a day. I'm going to do this. But if you follow people, they tend to follow you back. If you favorite people's shops, they tend to favorite your shop back. Mm-hmm. So you're kind of building a little Etsy network that can help your items be seen in other places on Etsy rather than just in your shop. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting because the other day I had a girl, I'm trying to think, she favorited a little mold that I had, and it, how it shows up in your dashboard, they so-and-so favorited your item. And then right after that, someone else had also favorited it. And this was kind of a strange thing that I don't sell a lot of. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So I went to look, and the girl that had favorited it second was one of the people that followed the first girl. So the first girl favorited it, and one of her followers saw it and also favorited it. But the second person that favorited it had like 12,000 followers. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So she favorites it. All her followers see it.
Yeah.
So even if 1% of her followers saw my item, that's 120 eyes on my item that wouldn't have seen it if she hadn't favorited it. Mm-hmm. So it's very complicated, but you have to get in there and start building your followers and your favorites. The way to do it is not to go into the forums and play those games, though, because that will really throw your stats off for yourself. And it used to be that Etsy would give, like if one listing got 1,000 favorites, Etsy said, oh, well, that must be great, and we'll put it up to the top of search results. But they don't do that anymore. Now it has to be favorited after being found in search. So the team games don't really help your SEO get boosted. Mm-hmm. But it helps your organic views of people seeing your listing in other places on Etsy. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because you really have to kind of sit down and try this try it for a couple of weeks and build up your followers and build up your favorites, and you'll start seeing people favoriting your items more and favoriting your shop more. And every time someone favorites your shop, that's more eyes on your shop. Mm-hmm. And you want to go in and try to find people that have, 20 20,000 followers, because there are people that do this religiously.
Yeah.
And they have so many followers and so many favorites that they're very active in it.
Yeah.
If you can get them to favorite your shop, that's another whole group of people that are going to see your listings. So
yeah, I think one of the slippery things that people fall into with like the click party games and stuff like that too is, when you're doing that, you're attracting a bunch of people there that aren't necessarily like going to purchase, and it throws off the whole conversion rate of the listing.
Exactly.
and other listings in your shop. So like you're saying, take it slow, right? Like kind of go easy at it. And you don't want to get things like super out of whack where you're just attracting a bunch of people to like look at something that, aren't going to buy it. The whole goal is to get connected with people in Etsy's social network. It sounds like that they have where you're going to be found by people who are interested,
Right. And the way to do that,
like buying likes.
Yes. It's like step 2 of that, which once you understand how that system works, go to your competitors and you can see who follows them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So go to your competitors page, and at the bottom, it's like, I think it's down on the bottom where it says their sales, and then it says admirers. The admirers are people who have favorited their shop. Mm-hmm. So they are already interested in your competitors' things, in which I'm assuming are similar to yours. So you go and you see who has favorited their shop, and then you start favoriting them. And people tend to reciprocate if they're paying attention. And some people don't pay attention, that's fine, but go and find people who have already expressed an interest in things like yours and start following them and favoriting them, because that'll put your shop on their radar. Mm-hmm. So don't just go and randomly, follow people that have nothing to do with your shop. You want to find people who you target by seeing that they already have an interest in your things. So like if somebody likes one of your items, you can go to see if they have a shop. If they do have a shop, you can follow or favorite their shop, and they might come back and favorite your shop, which will then put your listings on their radar because they've already shown that they're interested in your items. Okay, don't just go and do this randomly to people just because they have high numbers. You want it. Yeah, but I do that. It's the same thing on Pinterest. If you're looking for people to follow on Pinterest, you go to your competitors and you look to see who follows them. It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. And if you follow people, they tend to follow back, and you can get a whole group of people. Like, there's a bunch of stores on Etsy that sell molds. So I would just do a search for silicone molds, see who's coming up, go to their shop, see who follows them, and start following some of them. Mm-hmm. And that they'll see on their little dashboard, a Cake to Remember followed you, and they're like, oh, who's that? So they click through to your shop, and then they might follow your shop, and they might like your stuff. They might buy something from you. So it's a way to use Etsy's internal traffic, but you do want to keep it targeted. You're right. You don't want to just, don't go to the teams and do, click on 10 listings above you. And because you don't know if those people have any interest in buying your stuff at all. So keep it targeted, but participate. You have to participate or else you don't get anything out of it. But that is a good way to spread yourself and get different sources of traffic on Etsy. And you can see that in your stats where it says traffic and it says Etsy, click on that. And then it'll give you a drop down and it'll show you the percentage of favorites you get and that kind of thing. So you can kind of track it for yourself, but it does help. And I have seen, like people say, oh, I sold one of these and then I sold 3 right after it. Mm-hmm. Why? It's because the person that bought it is either seeing, like their followers are seeing it in their favorites, or it's because they've already liked your shop and they're seeing it in new from shops you like on the Etsy homepage. So it'll show up on the homepage. It'll show up in, suggested items for you. And I think that Etsy seems to be making more of a concerted effort to show people things that they've liked in the past that have sold, or that are low and like in the suggested items. I haven't really been paying attention to what they're suggesting, but I really do think that Etsy is making more of an effort to get us sales with all these tests. And people complain about the tests, but you have to do tests or else it just nothing ever moves forward.
Right.
So, but yeah, you have to participate in and off of Etsy in as many ways as they provide for you. So do your shop updates, link everything in your social media profile on your Etsy page, just get it all, take advantage of everything. Every tool they give you is there for a reason. And that's another thing. It was funny. I went to the latest, Etsy sucks, I'm not getting any sales thread in the forums. And I went and looked at every single person, and this was striking to me. It was every single person who was complaining in the last, I went up 8 people from the last comment. They all had their favorites were private, so nobody could see anything they favorited. They didn't follow anybody. And there was something else. Oh, they didn't use any shop updates at all, or else they hadn't used them in a year. And I thought that was really striking, because with the shop updates, there's no reason not to use them. It's there, and that will put your shop in front of people if they've liked your shop already. When you post a shop update, it shows up in shop updates from people you like or something like that on the homepage also. So they'll see that, and it reminds them that you're there. A lot of times you just need to remind people that you're there, because the internet is a big place. Mm-hmm. And people say, oh, I don't want to post 5 times a day on Facebook because I'm going to bother people. I'm like, when is the last time that you saw every post from every page you like on your Facebook feed? They don't show them. So you're not going to bother people because they're not going to see them all. So the more you can post on social media, the better. I use a scheduler. I use Buffer, mm-hmm. because I can just go in and schedule everything, and then I don't have to be on there all the time. But I think Hootsuite you can use for free up to a certain number of posts. So there are free services if you can't afford a paid one. But try it out and see, and especially on Etsy with the shop updates, you should definitely be doing those. I try to do 3 or 4 a week, and it does help the traffic. It absolutely helps the traffic.
So people who aren't familiar with shop updates, what sort of stuff would you put in your shop updates?
I do pictures of items. I do, if I'm working on something, I'll do that. Take a picture of the workspace. People like work in progress pictures. And that also helps if someone says, your items aren't handmade, I'm turning you in. Well, it's well, look at all my shop updates. Mm-hmm. They are handmade, so don't try. Mm-hmm. But you can use product photos if you're like, I don't have any pictures. How many product photos do you have in your listings? Use one of your listing photos and just post it as a shop update, and it just links right back to the listing. You tell it where to go. Mm-hmm. And there's no excuse for not using a shop update. There's no excuse for saying I don't have any pictures for social media. You have every listing picture in your shop. You can use every single one in multiple places. People are not going to see it in every place you post. So what I do is I'll post a shop update, and then it gives you the option to share it other places. So I will post a shop update on Etsy, and then I'll share it to Instagram and sometimes to Facebook, but it depends what else I have going on Facebook that day. Mm-hmm. But I usually use them for Instagram because they're formatted the same. I think they're both square in both spots, so the picture is going to look the same. And if somebody sees it on Instagram, they might not see it on Etsy, and that's fine. If they see it in both places, it doesn't really matter, But it's a good way. You need to just take advantage of any tool that's out there to get traffic into your shop, mm-hmm. basically, Because Etsy wants to make money, and Etsy does not want your shop to fail, and Etsy does not turn your shop off. But you really do need to understand that the internet is huge, and you are a tiny fly speck in the ocean of the internet, and you're not going to bother people by posting 10 times a day on Facebook. You're really not. And if they don't like it and they unfollow you, they weren't going to buy from you anyway. So it's not a big deal. You're not losing a sale. You're just losing someone who's ruining your conversion rate, mm-hmm. by not buying from you.
For maybe someone who is hasn't really messed with much of this stuff, maybe they got their shop out mm-hmm. there, but they don't have as many listings as they feel like they should have. They haven't spent the time on their SEO. They haven't done the social stuff either in Etsy or outside of Etsy. Mm-hmm. Where do you suggest they start working first? Is it one of these things where they should really kind of start dividing their time, and it's good to do all these things at once? Or should I get all my photography and products in order before I start following and favoriting people and trying to draw in more traffic?
Okay, so you should start by getting your shop at least with one decent photo per listing. Mm-hmm. If that's all you can manage, just get one decent photo per listing, and you can work on the rest later. And I will say I'm guilty of this. Some of you can tell the listings that I haven't worked on because I have like over 800 listings. There's just a lot, and I would have to take them all out and rephotograph them. It's a pain. But if you have the one per listing that you can use to promote, find out if you do you have a Facebook page. I would say if you don't have a business Facebook page now, Facebook is a toss-up because they are really limiting where you can be, where like who sees your stuff. That they've really just kind of shut the brakes on it. So if you don't have a huge Facebook following now, I would start on Instagram maybe, and because Instagram is all about hashtags, and you can usually get your pictures found if you use the right hashtags. And that's another topic. You know, it's researching Instagram hashtags is fun for everyone. But if you do that and you have the right hashtags, then people will find your stuff. Mm-hmm. And I have had people, I don't actively post on Instagram. I do occasionally, but I've had people tell me I found you on Instagram. And so they're finding my shop from Instagram, even though I'm not linking to it. I don't know how they did that. But it is a source of traffic. And I know people that just sell on Instagram. They don't even have an Etsy shop. That's the way that they sell. So people are willing to shop and buy on Instagram, and it's worth doing that because you can be found easier. And Facebook does own Instagram now, though. So you have to be careful because anytime you put all your effort into one thing, you don't know who's going to buy it. Who will buy it next? We don't know. And I would do Instagram. If I'm just starting from nothing, I would do Pinterest because Pinterest is relatively easy to get your stuff seen. Same thing, you have to use SEO on Pinterest. It's the same kind of situation, but if you get that down and you have to do a little research, find out what people are searching for in that category, but it's the same thing. You can look to see what other people are posting. Mm-hmm. And I'll also use business accounts on all these because then you get the analytics and you can kind of take a look at that. And my personal favorite is YouTube for products, and because I've started posting product demos on YouTube because I was doing a lot of cake decorating stuff, and my target audience was cake decorators and brides when I was doing wedding cakes. But I'm kind of shifting that now to cake decorators and people who use any type of molds for any type of craft. So it's a little, I'm still in the process of figuring that out. But I've posted a couple of videos on YouTube for molds that I know are a little bit more complicated, or something that's really cute. I don't know if I have one sitting around here. I don't. I made a unicorn set. Have you seen the cupcakes with unicorn horn and unicorn ears?
Yeah.
Have you seen that? You guys both have daughters, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You should have seen these. Okay, if you haven't. But I was looking and I saw that most people are making the molds for these. I saw a few molds, but they're flat. Just like the unicorn horn is just one side. So I made a 3D unicorn horn mold. Say that 3 times fast. And and I did a video of me showing how to use it. And I get direct hits from that all the time. And same thing, there's like a 3D seashell topper where you have like an open seashell on top of the cake and stuff inside it. And so I made a mold to make that 3D seashell topper and did a demo, video of how to use it. And I get hits from that and sell that all the time based on the YouTube video. So I think people really like video. It's a good way to direct people right to your shop. It shows your products. And if you don't have something that you can do a demo video, just show the product, show somebody wearing it. You can do, if you knit, you can do knitting demos, get people in, but people that knit are probably not going to be your customers. So you want to do kind of like DIY stuff along with product videos showing the hat being worn. You can say, look, it's made of this. This is how you wear it. You can turn it up like this. And if you have a vintage shop, that would be gold for video. And I think I was talking about this in the last Etsy Jam I did, because I don't. If I was going to buy a cabinet from someone or something, any kind of vintage product, and someone had a video showing, look, this is a dovetailed joint. It's not glued together. Here's how the doors open, and if there's anything that's wrong with it, you can show it in the video. Say there's a chip here, but it's not visible. Blah blah blah. And that I would love that if I was going to buy something from someone. It just gives them the extra peace of mind of seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been studies that show that when you have, like have you seen on websites where it will do a 360-degree view of something?
Yeah.
That tends to convert more, and it sells at a higher price because people have a better, they say, oh, I've seen all of it.
Yeah.
It's not just like one side. Like, you pick up the grapes in the supermarket and turn it over to see if they're rotted on the bottom.
Yeah.
If people
eggs
can
in
see
the carton,
open the eggs.
Those are important steps.
Yeah. But, if people see the whole thing all the way around, then they're going to be more comfortable buying it. And if they see something in action, they're going to be more comfortable buying it. And like with me, with my product demos, people can watch me do it and they're like, oh, I can do that, and that's not hard. And it does help sell. So what else? Okay. Yeah, we had moved on to this. So Instagram's all about the hashtag. Facebook, everyone is on Facebook, but it is really hard to get the interaction there. So if I was just starting, I would do maybe Instagram and put my effort there for a while, and then YouTube. Pinterest is good because unlike all the other social media platforms, the pins live forever and they get shared a lot. It's not like you have to scroll down to the bottom of someone's feed.
Yeah.
They'll
Facebook.
They move they move horizontally. They don't move vertically.
Yeah.
So it's like it gets spread through, and you can have a pin there, and 6 months after you pin it, suddenly everybody goes crazy and starts sharing it. So Pinterest is good that way. It is hard to get interaction on Facebook business pages these days. I pretty much get the same level of interaction all the time. And, one weird thing about social media is that people love memes. They love memes. So you don't have to post stuff only about your products. If you have a meme that's kind of related, there's one cake business, and all she does is post memes. And she's actually selling to cake makers. She's like business coach kind of situation. But she doesn't post anything other than memes, but it gets her traffic. And the way that Facebook works is the more traffic you get, the more often your posts are shown to your audience. So by posting these memes, she's getting people interacting with her posts. And then when it comes time to post a blog post or a business post, it'll be shown to more people than it would otherwise. So, you don't have to only post your business things. You can post, something that's related, but not completely, not completely product related, but related to your business somehow. There are many ideas. It gets to be a mess. But I think if I was starting now, I would do Instagram and YouTube. And once you get good at those, maybe add Facebook in. But I think I still get more traffic to my website. I have to use my website because I direct all my social media traffic to my website. I get more traffic from Facebook, and then I think I want to say it's Pinterest next. But I get more sales from YouTube because I tend to sell the things that I make the product demos for.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So you have to really kind of look at your own stats and see what works for you.
Yeah. It could be too that a lot of your audience, at least for the cake stuff, are makers themselves. So these are people who are out there watching videos anyway for their craft.
Exactly.
And it works to match up well with that.
Yeah. And if you're doing, like if you have fashion, that website Polyvore, I'm not sure how that works because I'm not a fashion person. But I said to my daughter, have you heard of this Polyvore? And she's like, oh my God, we use it all the time. We send each other pictures of outfits. And I think you can pull pictures from different listings or something and put it together into an outfit.
Okay.
And make a little board and then send it to your friends. So there's a whole way that you can take your items and put them in with other things and send it out. I don't even know. But fashion for Polyvore is good for fashion. It wouldn't work so well for my stuff. I don't know. That's not really a relevant platform for me. But if you have fashion, you should look into that. But yeah, I mean, anything that you find that where your customers are, that's where you should be.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, if you're looking for like I wouldn't say like teenagers, but like the 18 to 24 demographic is they're all on Snapchat. That's where they are. And I said to my daughter, "Do you have a Snapchat account?" Yes, I get the. Of course, she says that's how we communicate. And I said, "Are there ads on there?" Yes. I said, "Okay, that's all I was just wondering about that."
Easy.
Yeah, settle
Very
down.
defensive of the Snapchat.
No, it's just anytime I ask them any kind of, cultural reference,
Yeah.
teenage cultural reference, they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, if you have a specific age demographic that you're looking for, find out where they are."
Yeah.
Because if you're on Facebook, they're not on Facebook anymore. That's old ladies like me, as I've been told by my children. Old people are on Facebook.
Once the grown-ups show up, it just ruins it.
Yeah.
There it
I
goes.
said something once about some of my friends were going to a seminar about ads on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "What?" And I said, "They already run ads on Instagram." She's like, "No, I think it was Snapchat. It was a while ago, but it was Snapchat." And it was my impression that Snapchat, don't they disappear? The posts just go away after a while. So I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Why would you advertise there? And I said to her, what have you seen ads on Snapchat? She's like, "No, why?" And I said, "Well, because there's this seminar that people are giving about advertising on Snapchat." And she's like, "Oh my God." And she said, "If the adults have found it, it'll be dead soon." That was her comment. So I'm like, okay. So, I mean, next year it's going to be something else. But right now, they're all on, that age group is all on Snapchat with the little filters with the cat ears. And
That's the best Snapchat description I've ever heard.
So true.
They all have cat ears on. Yeah. You need an email list. And if you don't have an email list, go make one now. And there's like, you can go to MailChimp and get a free service up to a certain number of people. You can't do automation like where they send everything out automatically for you and schedule things and have an automatic sign up, but you can, if just a few people are signing up a day, you're going to have to go in and put their emails in by hand if you don't pay for it. But if you want to pay for the automation, it's worth. Oh no, you know what? They changed that because I paid for it and then they made it free. So I think there is a level of automation in MailChimp that is free.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to go in and figure out how to, follow all their little tutorials and do a little sign up form,
Mm-hmm.
and people can click on that and sign up for your email list.
And
so
then
you
once you hit a certain number of subscribers to your list, that's when the paying kicks in, I assume.
Yeah. Like they charge you more per subscriber. So I think when you get up to, my plan just went up to like $15 a month, and I hit 500 people, I think. Mm-hmm. But a few months ago, I went in and cut out a bunch of people because I'm like, I'm not paying an extra $5 a month. And now
Sure,
I don't care.
If they're not opening them or engaging with them, then
yeah. And you can see those. So you can go into MailChimp and get rid of everything. And there are other services too, but that's just what I use, so I'm familiar with it. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have an email list, you need to get one. And you are not allowed to sign people up just because they bought from you on Etsy.
Right.
But you can put a sign up link in a few different places in your shop. And I put like one of the 10 listing photos that I have no idea what to use for. I put a little graphic that says sign up, for my email list and get 20% off. Mm-hmm. And I give people a 20% off coupon that they can use as much as they want. It's not a one-time thing. I don't care, because it's easier to have somebody come back and take 20% off than it is to find a new customer, And I get people who buy repeatedly from me. And the idea is to get them to go to my website, but I have the coupon is good for my website and on Etsy, so they can use it either place. But anytime I send out a newsletter, I direct people to my website. I don't, like if I do a sale, it's on my website. It's not in Etsy. Mm-hmm. So I want people to go shop there and get used to that. But you need to get people coming back. And the way to do that is to have an email list that you can communicate with them. And you don't have to send something out every week. I'm on some email lists that they only send out when they have a sale, which is fine. You see this email come through, there's a good reason for it. Mm-hmm. So there's no reason that you have to send out something, every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's good to have a list of customers so that you can communicate with people that have already bought from you and already know who you are. Because like I said, the internet is a big place and they're not going to find you. You know, if you can go directly to people who know who you are, then you have a better chance of selling. And there was an interesting article in the latest issue of Entrepreneur magazine with Bobby Flay on the cover, which is why I said the food issue. So I bought it, even though I don't like Bobby Flay. But, you know, I figured there's other people in there. But it has an article about mailing lists. And it said that with the email marketing, people are afraid that if they email too much, people are going to get disgusted with them and never buy from them, and they'll be annoyed. And this actually said that people who don't open the emails end up buying more. And the more you send to them, like I send out let's say I send out 4 emails a month, and it's the people don't open them. Mm-hmm. But then when they do buy from you, they end up buying more. It's weird because I think are you guys on the Staples email list?
I'm not.
No.
I am. They are relentless. I get emails from
Staples
every single day. Staples. Yeah. Okay. And I mean, I would shop at Staples anyway. I spend so much money at Staples, they called and assigned me a personal representative. Yeah.
Whoa, that's fancy.
Yeah. I feel very fancy. You know, they call need more thumbtacks or no, but they give me all kinds of discounts and stuff, but they send emails constantly. Mm-hmm. And I hardly ever open them, but I'm thinking, oh, Staples. Oh, I need to go to Staples. I never go to Office Depot for anything because I'm constantly reminded about Staples. It exists, mm-hmm. you know. And so this guy says, I'm not sure who has the idea that, you know, it's sending too many emails is annoying, because I want to see that data, because I just work with data, and the data says that the more emails you send out, the more people are reminded of you, and then they do end up buying from you. Mm-hmm. And I can guarantee you that when I send out an email, I will see a spike in sales on my website. So even if it's not the thing that I'm promoting in the email, it reminds people that I'm there, and they'll go to my website and look around and maybe buy something else. Mm-hmm. So it does work, and you do need an email list. Every business needs an email list. And, you know, like I said, you don't have to send something out every week. I think people are afraid of thinking of new things to do and, you know, interest their you know, subscribers. But you can do it like some people will set out a really cool blog article, and some people like Staples will just barrage you. Mm-hmm. You know, I wouldn't do that because it's a lot, but you could just send out new in the shop and just have like 2 or 3 pictures of things that are new, or, you know, on sale this week. You let people know what's on sale, or limited numbers, you know, just try to get them in. But you do need an email list, and you have to make sure you're following Etsy's rules about that. You cannot sign people up without their consent. So just don't do that, you know. Anyway, something else you can do is the newsletters and Etsy's homepage. And I know that this does work because I was selling things based on doing this last week, that on the homepage at the top, you know, they'll have like a little banner, like now they have the little kids and the Halloween costumes. When you see Etsy start promoting something, that's the time to start promoting it on your own, because they know they're doing the marketing for you. They're telling you right there, this is the time to start promoting Halloween. I know it's just August, but that's okay. So what you do is you click through you just click on whatever link they have there. Find if it's something that relates to your shop. And I think it was something about autumn decor or home, like table settings and food stuff. So I clicked on that and went through, and what you do is you look to see what keyword that's gone to, because it'll take you to a search page. And you look and see what keyword they're using. Then you go and put that keyword in your listings, optimize your listings for that keyword, and renew it for recency and see what happens. And I did that, and I had a couple of things go to the top of the Halloween decorations page, and a couple things go to the top of the like autumn cake design, like food decorations or whatever. I don't even remember what it was. But I was selling things based on that, because these are things that had not sold, and suddenly I was selling them. So I know it was like a little fondant pumpkins, mm-hmm. you know, and so I used the keyword that they had, and you have to make sure it's in the same category too, but they usually use like all categories or whatever it is. But just match it with what Etsy is telling people to go to, because they're basically taking customers by the hand and saying, come here.
Right.
And so you don't have to guess where people are going, because the people are going where Etsy's telling them to using that. So use that as a clue. And then whenever they send out a newsletter that has links, it's the same thing. Just follow the links, see what keywords they're using, and kind of tailor a few of your listings to that. Mm-hmm. And I've sold things many times based on doing that. Mm-hmm. So
now, how many listings will you update when you do that?
Just one or two.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't want to change my whole shop based on that, because it changes. The homepage stays static longer than the newsletters. The newsletters come out, and then maybe a new one will come out the following week. I'm not sure how often they send those out. Mm-hmm. But that's going to be gone out of someone's email. But the homepage is always there when they click through. So as long as that's there, people are going to be directed straight to your listing if you can keep it up there. Mm-hmm. So that's just a little hint. And these are things that I do that actually do result in sales, and I can see it. Mm-hmm. So I know what I've moved to that page, and I know what is suddenly selling that was not selling before. And so, there's that. So participate in what they're promoting. Then comment on Etsy's social media. Etsy has the Etsy blog, which I'm sure nobody reads, and they do a podcast, which I'm sure nobody listens to. Well, they might. I don't know.
Ouch.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's usually like shop interviews. They do have one coming up that is about, I don't even remember, but it was something useful. Mm-hmm. It was like somebody from Etsy is talking about something useful, as opposed to just interviewing a shop telling about their journey. My Etsy journey. It's like, I don't care. Okay. I want to sell stuff. I mean, honestly, when you're looking at your statistics page, the only number that matters is your revenue. Okay. That's what I care about. So all of these things that I'm talking about are helping to increase that number. And that's the only number you should be looking at. But anyway, but comment on their social media, post a comment on the blog, post a comment on their podcast if they have. I don't even know if they have comments on that, because it's through iTunes, I think. So I don't know how that works, but they have the blog articles and people post comments. Again, not a nasty comment, because sometimes we'll have a topic and people start posting, well, this doesn't help me, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's your big butt talking. So don't let your big butt post your comment for you, So anyway, that's pretty much, on Etsy, that's what you can do. Mm-hmm. Make sure your SEO is good first. And for that, you need to use Marmalade. You guys are supposed to go Marmalade.
Marmalade.
Like, please say Marmalade.
Yeah, no, you need to verify that your SEO is good before you actually stick it in a title, because there sometimes you'll think, oh, this is the greatest description ever, and nobody's looking for it. And anybody can rank at the top of any page if you find basically a search term that nobody's using and it has few enough competitors for it. Yeah, you can get to the top of that page, but that doesn't mean that anyone's actually looking for that thing. So make sure your SEO is on point, or at least going in that direction. Okay, so what else did these people complaining had some easy to solve problems? Lots of shop admirers. Oh, they had lots of shop admirers, but they didn't do shop updates. That's what it was. So if you have this says one person had 12,000 shop admirers. So there are 12,000 people had clicked favorite on her shop. Okay. She hadn't posted an update for 6 months. Okay. And then another person had 4,000 shop admirers and no updates at all. All you have to do is post one shop update, and Etsy gives that. They serve that up to all those people.
Yeah.
So even, like I said, even if 1% of 12,000, that's 120 people that are going to see an item of yours and be reminded that you exist.
Yeah.
So take advantage of it. What else? Private favorite, so they can't see anything. So they're not going to, follow. People aren't going to follow you if they're using that system. They're not using shop updates. Blah blah blah. Photos that have too much going on. Oh, not enough information. My favorite is when people put a coin next to something. I did that when I first started. I'm like, it's the size of a quarter. And someone emailed me and said, I live in Denmark. I don't know how big that is. Can you tell me how big that is? And I was like, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So get a ruler. Even if you have like a necklace or earrings or something, you have to have something in the photo that shows a size reference. Even if it's not the first photo, you have to have something. What I usually do is the first photo will be the item. The second photo will have a ruler next to it or something that shows the size.
And but do you show inches or centimeters on the ruler?
Both. I make sure it's showing both. See, I'm trying to help. I'm trying to be helpful. Yeah, but if you don't have any kind of point of reference for people, then they're not going to send you a message. They're just going to say, oh, well, this looks the same. So they're going to go to the next person. People don't have time. They don't have time to read when they shop, as my daughter said.
There you go.
Or photos that are so inconsistent, it makes their shop look like a yard sale, I've written. You have to have some type of consistency to your pictures. They don't all have to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
But if you've got like if I've taken one picture sitting here in this mess, and then another picture on my kitchen counter, and then another picture with the yard in the background, people are going to be really confused.
Yeah.
Because it starts to look like the swap meet, and you're like, what's going on? I'm not sure what I'm looking at. So they just anything that makes a customer uncomfortable, they're going to leave.
Yeah, especially when there are other shops who are doing that and do have consistent photos.
Yeah.
Like if I'm comparing two different things as I'm shopping, kind of gonna want to go with the shop that looks a little bit more serious about what they're trying to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Because we used to make fun of the people. Well, it wasn't so much making fun as being horrified. Like, here's a picture of the cake I made, and they've put it on the ground, and right behind them is their dog and the dog's dish. I am not joking. Somebody did that. We're like, maybe that's not the best background for a picture of a cake that you're going to be delivering to someone's wedding. Maybe not the best choice. You have to be aware of these things. And it does make you look more or less professional depending on how your shop looks. And you need a kind of cohesive look. All right. Yep. So, no dogs with dog dishes next to the cake. There was another woman once who was saying, ha, 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 my chickens came in the kitchen and jumped up on the table and were pecking my cake. Ha, ha, ha. And we're like, what? She thought it was so cute. We're like, she's like, we ate it anyway. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not, there's no point. If someone thinks that's cute, there's no point in arguing with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something else people did that they could solve easily. An extremely niche product. Let me think what that means. See, I write these notes and then I forget what I meant. Probably something that appeals to such a small group that you're going to have trouble finding that group unless you drive a lot of direct traffic to your shop. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a lot of like finding groups on Facebook that are just for that thing. Like the person that was talking about Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. The Game of Thrones trend is over. I'm like, no, it's really not. So, but you might want to look and see if there's other boards somewhere that are specifically for your niche product and drive people, traffic that way. Or you can expand what you sell. And a lot of people are so, bound up in their big butt, but that's not my artistic vision.
Yeah.
I don't want to sell anything else. I just want to do this one thing. It's like, well, that's fine, but you just limited your market. Yeah. Because a niche is small by definition. Mm-hmm. So, you have to decide whether you want to make money or, make this one product.
Yeah.
And if you can, all power to you, if you can make your whole living off of making one thing, then that's great. Enjoy it. But it's not realistic for most people. Mm-hmm. So, and then it's like the artistic vision or selling out. I'm like, I don't do cake supplies because that's my passion. I think I've written articles about this for my blog before, but a passion for your business can really ruin your bottom line in many ways. Because you always want to, you just feel so strongly about it. You want everybody to love it as much as you do. Mm-hmm. So you tend to do too much work to make it perfect, but you're not getting paid for it, or you're limiting your audience, or, for whatever reason. But you have to look at this as a business, if it's a business for you. So sorry, artists. I do art for fun. And if somebody else likes it, that's nice. But I sell cake supplies and decorations,
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same thing, So anyway, all right. So something else they do, no social media links on their about page or no about page. And Etsy actually takes that into account for their SEO algorithm. So if you don't have an about page, that's a strike against you. If you don't have social media links, people want to see that you're in more than one place. They want to see that you actually have a presence somewhere to kind of legitimize yourself.
Yeah.
Because, if they're shopping from a small shop, they want to make sure that you're not going to rip them off,
Yep.
So if you have a Facebook page and an Instagram account and a Pinterest account, and they're all kind of rolling along, and you have followers and that kind of thing, they see, okay, well, this person's not going to disappear with my money.
Yep.
So that's good. So, just make your presence known. And also I have never failed to be amazed at how many people do not have their business in their Facebook personal profile. Because you can put your workplace, put your Etsy shop.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty of people, like even in the Marmalade group, where they'll ask a question and I'll say, well, what's their shop? And I'll click through their personal profile and it's nowhere.
Yeah.
It's nowhere to be found. And I mean, unless you have a really, really good reason for that, you need to put that in your personal profile so that people can find you.
Mm-hmm.
So, answer your convos promptly. This is something very simple to do, because people are going to send you a question. They might wait for the answer, or they might just go on to the next person. And I've actually had people many times say to me, thank you for answering me, period. Because people just don't answer convos. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So answer those promptly. That helps. Okay, something else you can do is list new items. If you don't have new items, you can take the same item and do a duplicate of it and do different SEO and see which one works. Use a different photo. That's kind of an A/B test kind of thing. But Etsy likes to see movement. And so if you're listing a new item, then it also fleshes out your shop and gives people more of a chance to find you, because it's new title and tags to use, new photo. You can see which one they like best, and that just helps people find your shop. So I think that's all my notes.
Yeah. That's
It
awesome.
is. And yet I could continue talking, but I'll keep it. So that's basically it. But that's the kind of thing that in my private YouTube channel, that's the kind of stuff I'll be talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get into more of the Pinterest stuff, because I've got I have a strategy for all these places, and you can find it. Nothing that I do is secret. Like, nothing is secret. You can find all this stuff yourself if you're willing to put the time into it. But I do this all day, every day, and I'll give you some shortcuts. So that's basically it. But you just have to keep your shop moving. And if you find your sales are slowing, figure out what's going on. Figure out if it's something you can do to counteract it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the different pieces in place, one thing slowing down shouldn't stop your whole shop from selling. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a balance of traffic coming in so that one piece of traffic being pulled out won't ruin the rest of it. So
yeah,
that's basically it. Now I'll be quiet.
No, that's awesome. You went through a bunch of things, and I think that I think it's good. It's gonna, I think, open a lot of people's eyes to all the things that are out there. You hear from people a lot, and we see a lot of people in our Facebook group who, they're passionate about what they're making, and they're passionate about their craft, but they really hate like the business side of things, and they really hate having to do all these, like the SEO piece and social media and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I mean, if you're serious about your shop and you want to be successful with what you're doing, if you have some kind of a goal that you're trying to reach, leaving, your day job or full time or whatever you want to be doing, you have to. That's part of it. That's part of a business.
Yeah.
And so I think running through all these things is really kind of helps outline them for people.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason that I'm successful in this is that I didn't go into doing cakes because it was a passion. It's like
Mhm.
I was an art student and a design student in theater, but I didn't start doing wedding cakes until later.
Mhm.
And so it was never something that I was like, I love wedding cakes so much. And there are people like that. They just love it, love it, love it. But I always looked at it as a business. And the business part of it came first, and the product was secondary to the business, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
So you really have to look at this as a business. And if you're selling something that you really like, that's a bonus.
Mhm.
But it's, it's a business first. If you expect to get business results from it, you have to treat it like it's a business and not like it's something that you're passionate about and that's why you're doing it.
Yeah.
You should be doing it because you want to earn money. That's what it's for.
Yep.
And if you're lucky enough to do something that you really, really love and earn money, that's the best. So, but you have to do the work. That's the problem. And a lot of this is not fun. It's just not fun. Although I will say there are times when I'm sitting here going, oh God, I've got to do this. And I think I would rather be doing this than do what my husband does, which is sitting in an office, auditing a company, running reports, and going out and counting inventory. Because he's a commercial finance auditor. And I'm like, no. And then the boss comes and yells at you, or the boss comes and tells you to do something stupid. I don't even know.
Did you get the memo?
Did you get the memo? Like, see, I write myself memos, but then I can choose not to read them.
I didn't get that one.
I disregarded
did
the memo.
Not receive that
one.
Right.
So, do you have any questions, or did I pretty much talk your ear off? And...
You covered a lot of stuff, and I mean, I would hesitate to dive deeper into any of these things because I feel like any of these things that you went over could go really in depth with them, but
you really could, yeah. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's like people say, "What about social media?" And you're like, "Oh, how many days do you have?" It'll change
exactly. Like which social media?
Yeah.
Could talk forever about any of them. It was really fantastic, and you did a really good job covering all these things. Like when you sent these over and I looked through them, I was kind of blown away by the level of detail and thought that you put into these. But
this is what I think. I think about this stuff all day because it's all interconnected, and you have to kind of pay attention to it. And that's just how my brain works. I'm kind of sick that way. I love the marketing and I love the business side of this. I just love it. And so I find it fun. It's a sickness. It's a sickness.
I mean, I guess you could look at it like that. Seems like a good
works.
thing. Seems like a good thing. But yeah. If you guys haven't checked out Kara's other episode that she was on with us, you can find that over at marmalade.com/blog/Etsy-jam. And you'll find all of our jams over there. You can also search it. If you search for Kara, I'm sure you'll find her there too. Also, as she mentioned a few times while she was talking, she's really active in our Marmalade Facebook group. So if you're a member of the group already, you probably already know her. Like you're gonna hear her name here and be like, "Oh, that's Kara. Okay, cool. Yeah, I know." Because she jumps onto so many of the threads that we have in the group and is always dropping really helpful bits of information for people in our Facebook group, which we super appreciate. By the way, Kara, thank you for always doing that.
That's how I procrastinate. Usually, if I'm answering a question, I should be doing something else. You just know that.
Like some of those things you just talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it always works.
Yeah.
But yeah, check her out there too, and you can see the kind of stuff that she posts. And then if like she said, if you're interested, check out her YouTube channel that she's going to be working on too. You'll find more info on that in the show notes for this jam. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you for having me on again.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us again. It's always good to chat with you.
Oh, you guys are nice. You lie.
No, I'm serious.
Such a couple of liars. You're very kind.
Our conversations are crazy, but we are very serious people.
Yes. Okay.
But everyone else, we will catch you guys next time on Etsy Jam.